Hi, I'm Lori Clapper with BioResearch Online here at INTERPHEX 2012. I'm at the ATMI booth with Richard Bhella. You are the Global Product Manager with ATMI. And Richard, you've dealt a lot with single-use technologies that has just exploded in the past few years. Why don't you talk a little bit about how ATMI has responded to that demand?
Well, as you know, a few years ago, people weren't sure stainless steel, single use, which way should I go? I think that answer's really clear now. Everybody wants to go single use. It's a really exciting, dynamic part of the industry right now. And so ATMI's tried to respond. We always try to be innovators in this field and stay ahead of the trends. People like using single use. We have a lot of cool technology here, like this levitated mixer that you see here, powder bags, we have bioreactors, storage systems. One of the challenges, though, is people are going to put a lot of high-value product inside a plastic bag, and they're kind of nervous. You know, is my $1 million of product going to end up all over the floor?
That's a big problem.
Big problem if you're paying for that $1 million worth of product, right? So people want to know, how do I check my bag, make sure it's not going to leak? What's the integrity like? Up until now, the industry standard method of checking integrity is a pressure hold test. Pump in a bunch of air, see if the container holds pressure. Works great for stainless steel, not so good with plastic bags. You know, if you overinflate them, they'll start to stress, strain, even burst. It's still a test that's done in the industry, but you have to be really careful not to over-pressurize the bag. We actually do it as a 100% release test in-house, but it only detects defects that are relatively large. Certainly not the really small defects that can still cause real process headaches.
So what is unique about your testing? You said this is not something that's always used, but it's an option?
Well, actually we do 100% pressure hold testing of all of our bags. What's really novel is we can also offer a helium integrity test. That's a completely different test. Instead of just putting air in and looking at the pressure hold, we actually put helium in the bag and look for a leak. We have a really neat technique we developed where we put the bag inside a vacuum chamber, evacuate the chamber, and then we put a measured amount of helium into the bag, and we use a mass spectrometer to look to see if any helium's leaking out of the bag. Now what's cool about this technology is it's way more sensitive than pressure hold. Pressure hold good to maybe 100 microns, maybe a little less in the real world. Helium integrity testing can go below 10 microns of hole size, which is tiny. And that lets us resolve between a gross defect versus a defect that wouldn't even result in a leak, but would result in a sterility loss problem.
Now, what are, say, 2 reasons you would give to one of your clients or to a user to why to add this to their process?
Well, of course, when we start doing this test on a bag, it's going to add cost. So people aren't going to want to do this for every buffer hole bag or media bag that they're working with. But when you're putting $1 million of product in that bag, you know, that extra incremental cost on the bag of that extra testing, it's just a little bit of extra insurance to make sure you're not going to make a really expensive mistake. That's the #1 reason people go with this technology.
All right, so maybe talk a little bit about what's next on the horizon as far as maybe a challenge that ATMI will be responding to. Is there anything else you can address?
Well,
sorry, did I?
Right now we offer this helium integrity test as a test that's scaled up to a certain size of bag. We can actually go, we're working on making that even larger. So right now we can offer bags tested up to 50 liters inside. Of course, 50 liters of product drained on the floor, if it's expensive, is an embarrassment. But if you have 1,000 liters on the floor, it's a, 20 times bigger embarrassment. And so we actually are extending this test to handle bigger and bigger bags. So we think it's going to be exciting in the industry, be a game changer.
All right, thank you so much, Richard.